Welcome to NETRUSH Report, your home for emotional sports stories, behind-the-scenes journeys, and the real talk from the world of tennis and beyond. We're not just breaking news. We're digging into the stories that shake the locker rooms and stir the fans. If you're new here, make sure to hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and join the community where every drop shot and press conference matters. Now, let's dive into why the U.S. Open summer schedule is catching heat from players, veterans, and experts, and what it means for the sport's future. The North American hardcourt season has always been a marathon, not a sprint. But this year, it's a full-blown gauntlet. Let's break it down. Just 2 weeks after Wimbledon, one of the most physically and emotionally taxing tournaments on the calendar, the ATP Canada Masters kicked off. Players barely had time to rest, recalibrate, and shift from grass to hard courts. And this isn't your regular one-week pit stop. The 2025 Canadian Open was extended from 7 days to 12 days, overlapping dangerously close to the start of the Cincinnati Open, another Masters 1000 event. From there, players are expected to march straight into the U.S. Open, the final Grand Slam of the year. This leaves almost no room for recovery. The grueling stretch? Wimbledon, Canada, 12 days, Cincinnati U.S. Open, and other swing in the season. Not the clay or grass. Demands this much intensity back-to-back without substantial downtime, and the players are starting to crack. The list of top players pulling out of tournaments in the lead-up to the U.S. Open isn't just long. It's alarming. Here are the most notable absentees. Carlos Alcaraz, the Spanish superstar, fresh off a brilliant Wimbledon campaign and French Open title, announced he would skip Toronto to heal a muscle issue. Novak Djokovic, the 24-time Grand Slam champion, shocked fans by withdrawing from Cincinnati. His favorite U.S. Open tune-up, John Isner, Wimbledon champion and new ATP kingpin, also withdrew from the Canadian Open, citing recovery needs. Jack Draper, the British #1, rising fast, opted out of the Toronto Masters. Alcaraz specifically addressed the issue, noting that players are not getting enough vacation time or rest between tournaments. That he told fans, "I have to listen to my body. I played a lot this season. The time between big events is too short." And it's not just the withdrawals, it's the domino effect. Fans lose interest. Tournament ticket sales suffer. Broadcast viewership dips. And for players like Taylor Fritz and Frances Tiafoe, left behind to shoulder the draw, the pressure mounts to perform amid growing criticism of ATP scheduling. Then came the truth bomb, delivered by John Isner, a retired American legend who knows the tour better than most. Speaking out after Alcaraz and Djokovic pulled out, Isner said plainly, "It's so bad. The U.S. Open Series is way too compressed. They just don't care about the players." He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't soften the blow in his eyes. And now, the eyes of many. The calendar is a player health crisis waiting to implode. Isner knows what it's like to survive the brutal summer circuit. He played over 16 years on tour, with some of his biggest wins and toughest battles happening in sweltering American stadiums. And now, from a distance, he sees it more clearly than ever. Isner suggested that tournaments are prioritizing commercial expansion, like extending Canada from 7 to 12 days, at the expense of athlete well-being. And with the ATP looking to premiumize events and court bigger sponsors, Isner warns that the players may soon vote with their feet. The North American crowd, once buzzing with excitement for the U.S. Open Series, is growing restless. The promise of seeing top stars like Djokovic and Alcaraz in Toronto? Gone. Instead, second-tier matchups fill center courts, and some early round games draw empty stands. Social media sentiment is shifting fast. A viral post by tennis journalist Ben Rothenberg asked fans on X, "Are you enjoying the U.S. Open build-up this year? Or is it too much, too fast?" Thousands responded. The overwhelming tone? Exhaustion, disappointment, confusion. And let's not forget the economic impact. Cities like Toronto and Cincinnati invest heavily in these events, in hospitality, infrastructure, and marketing, hoping for tourism boosts and international attention. When top players drop out, it doesn't just affect match outcomes, it hits local economies. This isn't a new problem. It's just getting worse. Now let's look at Carlos Alcaraz's year alone. Rotterdam Open, title Monte Carlo Masters, title Italian Open, title French Open, Grand Slam title Queen's Club, title Wimbledon, finalist, and then straight into Canada. It's no wonder his body waved the red flag. Unlike other global sports, tennis doesn't have an off-season. Players finish the ATP finals in late November and are back in action by early January in Australia. That's barely 6 weeks to recover, mentally, emotionally, and physically, from a grueling tour that spans 11 months. Other sports, like the NBA or NFL, offer structured off-seasons. But in tennis, ranking points and prize money are always on the line. If you sit out, you risk losing momentum, endorsements, and global standing. That it's a vicious cycle, and one that younger stars like Alcaraz are starting to call out. When Novak Djokovic withdrew from Cincinnati, there was no dramatic press conference, no Instagram story rant, just a quiet line in an official statement. I need to focus on recovery and preparation for New York. But make no mistake, it was strategic. Djokovic has long been a critic of the ATP's scheduling rigidity. He helped form the Professional Tennis Players Association, PPA, precisely to give players more voice in decision-making. This quiet withdrawal? A silent protest. A veteran move. He's picking his battles. And it's clear that for Novak, the only one that matters right now is the US Open. So, what happens next? Here's what players and analysts are demanding. Reduce overlap between major ATP events. Shorten the Canada Masters back to 7 days. Introduce mandatory recovery windows after Grand Slams. Let players skip a warm-up tournament without losing points. Give fans more clarity on why players withdraw. Former coach Darren Cahill suggested a rotating calendar, where some tournaments are held every 2 years instead of annually. Others have floated the idea of regional off-seasons, allowing rest depending on surfaces rather than a blanket end-of-year pause. Whatever the solution, one thing is clear. Now, all eyes are on the US Open. Carlos Alcaraz is expected to return in Cincinnati, his last prep before defending his 2022 title. John Isner will likely join him. But Djokovic? Still uncertain. Behind them, the next generation, Holger Rune, Ben Shelton, Sebastian Korda, are watching and learning. How they choose to pace themselves now will define the next decade of tennis. If the US Open delivers peak battles, the scheduling heat might cool off temporarily. But if more players pull out or underperform due to exhaustion, then the ATP will face the reckoning it's been dodging. This isn't just a scheduling issue, it's a reckoning for tennis. Players are speaking out. Fans are speaking louder. And legends like John Isner aren't afraid to drop the truth. The US Open might still bring magic. But the cost of getting there, it's higher than ever. Thanks for watching NETRUSH Report, where we go beyond the headlines to bring you the pulse of the tennis world. Hit subscribe, tap that bell, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Should the ATP revamp the calendar? Or is this just the nature of elite competition? We'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep your eyes on the court and your heart in the game.